When planning our common assessments, the first step that we made was to look at our Minnesota state standards. From there, we went down to our middle school, 6 through 8. The state standards are represented in chunks like that, so we looked at all of the standards for our middle school kids and decided what would be most appropriate in 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. Let's take a look at the standards that we chose for 7th grade. We concentrated on strands 1, 2, and 3. Strand 4 we kept for 8th grade. But here we're concentrating mostly on the principles of art for concept. That's a really good beginning for figuring out now our I can statements. After deciding what standards we were going to address in each grade, we then created I can statements. I can statements are just student-friendly wording for what they're going to learn throughout the quarter. It's also, we decided to give an assessment category so that they know how they will be assessed on each project as well. Now that state standards have been narrowed down to I can statements, I created a packet for my students. I had a clear vision of where I was going throughout the quarter. I wanted to communicate that the best I could with the students that I was teaching. So I started out by making a packet. This is the cover of my packet. As you can see, there's lots of little spaces for students to draw, maybe for their warm-up I'll have them use this, or maybe as a brainstorming activity as well. Page number 2 is the I can statements. You see that they are listed on the left-hand side. And then I have project created. The goal of this packet is not to confine myself to the same things over and over. I want to be able to be fluid with my projects. So the projects are ever changing, but they still reach the same concepts that I want to be consistent with throughout the quarters that I teach. You will also see that I included the due date because I want to be very clear with my students when things are due and what projects are due and what we're learning. This page really helps out with all of that. Page 3 is vocabulary. The words that I've already included are words that I might have used in the I can statements, so I want to make sure that we have a clear definition of those words. But then there's plenty of spaces available to add new vocabulary words as we create different projects for our different concepts that we're going to cover. On my 8th I can statement, it states, I can revise my artwork or presentation based on others' feedback. One way that I ask my students to get feedback is by emailing their artwork home. They email the concepts that they're covering in class and an image of what they are creating in class. So the next several pages in our book or in our packet revolve around that idea of emailing our parents and how to do it in an appropriate manner. The next few pages are about a digital portfolio that is actually their last assignment that they will turn in for the quarter. I like letting my students know from day one what their expectations are going to be even on the very last day of art. Plus, this helps them know what I'm going to ask them to tell their parents or put into their digital portfolio at the end of the quarter. Cornell notes are being used across my entire school. So I wanted to jump on board and make sure that my notes look consistent to all the other notes that the students would be receiving. I love these notes for art. It was a little hard to figure out how my concept was going to fit into Cornell notes, but once I did, I absolutely fell in love with it. I have included about 8 or 9 different Cornell notes throughout that packet, and I love the fact that they're all together with the assessments and throughout this packet so that they can refer to their notes as they're filling out their assessments. At the end of the packet, we have all the assessments. Here's an example of one. This is for the concept of emphasis. If you look at it, it says, what does emphasis mean? Please give the definition. I love the fact that my students will know at the beginning of art class, the very first day, what they are expected to do for their assessments. They know that they need a definition here. they can look ahead and they can also see that they need to demonstrate it by using emphasis with line, emphasis with color, emphasis with space. And that at the end they need to show me a thumbnail sketch of their artwork and explain how they used emphasis in their artwork. Here's another example of an assessment that I might have used. The process of art, very broad, very open to any single project that you might do. Students have to explain in thumbnail sketches how they created their artwork, and then also in words. This is another great assessment that can lend itself very easily to any project that you might create. Common assessment for all looks something like this. Look at the big picture to begin with. Look at the state standards and identify which state standard fits best in each grade level or each class. Then change the vocabulary so that it's kid-friendly. We want students to understand what we are trying to communicate with them using their language, their words. Then I created a packet. This helped me keep very focused when I was instructing my students. My packet included the I can statements, student-friendly vocabulary, the vocabulary list that I wanted the students to learn, email expectations, digital portfolio goals. My school uses Cornell notes, so we included those, and then of course the assessments. The assessments are standards-based, and of course they are concept-based, not project-based. You want to leave room for change. If you can keep your assessments concept-based, you will be able to stay focused, reaching the goals that you have set for your class, yet still keep that creativity that every art teacher is so desperate to keep into their classroom. Thanks again so much for coming to my presentation. My name is Nic Hahn, and for more ideas of what I do in my classroom, please visit minimatisse.blogspot.com.